Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the Ruby and Pearls Knitting Podcast. My name is Leah. I'm coming to you from West Wales in the UK, as always, where I live with my partner and our 2 dogs. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're a returning viewer, thank you for coming back. And if you're new here, thank you so much for being here. I've got a traditional format podcast for you today. And a coffee, and it is fairly early in the morning. I've just come back from a dog walk, so I'm just waiting for the dogs to settle down. I hope that will be any minute now. Otherwise we're going to have interruptions and tripod knocks again. So I invite you to grab a coffee or a tea or whatever drink you enjoy and a project, and we can catch up together. I will leave down below where you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry, as well as my measurements if that is helpful to you, and I will also list a couple of make-alongs that I am either hosting or involved in down below. I won't talk about them today because I haven't really got any projects to share that are related to it. Right, I'm going to put my coffee down. Let's get started. Actually, before I get into it, I've been doing a lot of thinking about podcasting schedules lately. And when I first started filming, I really fancied doing one maybe every 2 weeks. And then I decided every week is actually quite fun, especially having shorter videos, sort of 20, 25, 30-minute videos every week would be great, because I really enjoy watching creators that upload on a more sort of frequent basis, but shorter videos. So that was my plan. But as you might have noticed, today it has been 2 weeks since I've uploaded my previous podcast. And that is not because I didn't have time to film last week. It is because I've decided that I'm not really a huge fan, and this is no shade on anybody who creates videos like this, but I'm not a huge fan of videos where you see the same whips the following time with just a bit of progress on each of them. So for example, I could have 3 whips on the go and I would just be showing you, oh, this one's gained a sleeve and this one's gained a bit of body length. And that's great, and that's, you know, if that's what you want to create, that's absolutely fine. But personally, I prefer a little bit more variety in my videos. And while I do treat myself to a new cast on quite frequently, because I'm a little bit impulsive when it comes to my knitting, I tend to try to finish something first at the moment before I start something new. So I have decided I'm going to film whenever I have a finished object. That will hold me accountable and make me actually finish certain items before starting new things, and not just carry on knitting on the same things over and over and over. And I will have something to show you that is finished, that I can show worn, that I can give feedback on the fit and the wearability of it, as well as probably a new cast on. So that just creates a little bit more variety in my video. So I thought that would be quite a good way to go. And today I do have a finished object. And I am wearing my finished object, so let's get straight into it. I've shown this on the podcast before. I'm going to get up and show you the body. And I'm just going to turn around so you can see the back detailing. This is the Paul cardigan by Morecaknit that I have knitted for the 2nd time now. If you've seen my Every Sweater I've Ever Knit video, you will know that I've knit a Paul cardigan before. I really enjoy this pattern. I think it's been knit quite a bit by a lot of people, and I've seen it on quite a few podcasts, and I think it is a really wonderful pattern. The issue I had with the previous one that I knit was that it turned out too big. So that was the main reason why I wanted to reknit it, because I'm actually going to gift the first one to someone else. It is just, I really enjoy an oversized garment, and as you can see, this is definitely oversized, but it crossed the line between oversized and looking like I've purchased the wrong size, because I think this has a really polished look. It looks like something that's come from a shop, and it sort of made me feel a bit like I've been to a sale and I've bought the only size they had left, and it so happened to be quite a few sizes too big. And that's not a look that I enjoy. I'm actually liking a little bit more fitted stuff at the moment. Not fitted, but a bit less positive ease. So that is why I have knitted a second one. Let's briefly talk about the pattern. This is a top-down saddle shoulder construction. You start by casting on stitches here, I believe, and you knit the saddle, including the shaping that goes around the back that I showed you earlier. I'll show you again quickly. And you do that for both sides in a mirror image, and then you 3 needle bind off the 2 saddles together in the middle. From that point, you pick up stitches and knit the back yoke, pick up stitches, knit the front yoke, and there's lots of short row shaping that's happening. The sleeves are then picked up, and there's short rows in the sleeves as well before you knit them down to the really long ribbed cuff. The body actually isn't particularly long from the underarm. I don't know if you can see there. There's not that much fabric between the underarm and the rib, because the rib is the most ridiculously long rib I have ever knit, and I can't believe I've knit it twice now. And it is a little bit too long. I don't think I'm ever gonna, if I ever come across a rib that's that long again, I will shorten it, because it kind of, despite blocking, wants to cinch in a little bit. It is finished off with a double knit button band and a ribbed collar. So you do this ribbed collar first, and then you pick up stitches and work the button band down. It has 3 buttons. I've put these pretty chunky tone and tone buttons on there, and it's really nice to wear open or closed, so I really enjoy this piece. But it is quite oversized, so it sort of fills this gap in my wardrobe of an oversized cardigan, and you will see in my whips that I've now cast on a more fitted cardigan. So let's talk about yarn. I knit this in King Cole Orchard in the shade Bramley. All the Orchard yarns from King Cole are named after apple types, breeds, types. Don't know enough about apples. But I've heard of Bramley apples. Some of them I haven't heard of before. There's more more Orchard yarn coming in my whip, so some of them I didn't know were actually apple names. And this is a blend of 55% superwash merino and 45% low pill acrylic. It is relatively inexpensive, and it wears well so far, I think, and it washes well, so it can just go in the machine, and yeah, it's really easy care. But because of the fairly high wool content, it doesn't feel squeaky. It's just a perfect workhorse yarn, in my opinion. As you can see, to show you there, the button band is really wide as well. So that was intense, as much as the bottom ribbing was intense. There's a lot of intense parts to this pattern, but I would highly recommend it. I'll put a picture in of it hanging up or me wearing it so you can see it a bit better, because worn it's a little bit hard to show. And I'm actually really, really warm, so I'm going to have to take it off. But yeah, I can actually show you. There we are. It is a beautiful, beautiful pattern. If you've not knit a Morecaknit pattern before, highly recommend. They are very, very detailed and very tailored and very neat. And there's just a lot of really fun details in a pattern by Morecaknit, and while also looking classy and tailored and beautiful. Next up, I have a half-finished object just over here that I'm going to have to grab, that I want to talk to you about. I had a bit of an impulsive cast on at some point a couple of weeks ago. I decided to cast on the Stella Quilt Cushion by Laura Penrose. It is a wonderful garter stitch cushion pattern that is really, really fun to knit. And here's mine. well, my half finished Stella quilt cushion. I used, again, King Cole Orchard is the cream main colour. And this is in the shade Snow Sweet. And then I used 100% Superwash Merino mini skeins from Spectrum Fibre that I got in their Tropics Club last year, and that I've had laying around for well over a year now. So I really wanted to do something with them, and I think it turned out really, really lovely. Now, I have one problem with this project, and it's completely my own fault. You start off by knitting a square in the main colour, this one, like this one here. And when you finish that square, you can measure it and you can use it as your gauge swatch. And I did that originally on 4mm US 6 needles, like the pattern recommends, and it was way too big. I am aware that I'm a loose knitter. I thought I'd got tighter, and I think I've started getting looser again. It's a weird process. And I decided that obviously it was much too big. I had to rip it out and reknit it. So I went down to 3.5mm needles, knit it again, and it was still a smidge too big. But I decided to carry on with it because I don't really fancy knitting DK weight yarn on 3mm needles right now. So I thought it will be fine. But when I finished it, I thought this looks awfully big compared to like some of my other square cushions that I have knocking around that are sort of a standard size. And it turns out it is about almost 5 centimetres or 2 inches too wide in both directions, as it's a square. And I don't really know what to do now. And that's why I've stalled, because the fun part is over. The dopamine part is over. And now I need to knit the backing. So I thought, well, to make the backing more fun, I could just knit this again and then sew them together. But the problem is, because my gauge was slightly off, I have used ever so slightly more than 10 grams. And I will play some intense yarn chicken if I want to knit the back exactly the same with the leftover yarns. And I'm just not quite sure I'm ready for that much yarn chicken. You know, each of these colours, so all 8 colours, I would have to really make sure I have enough. And with some of them, the way this is knit, let's see if I can show you. I'll hold it with my chin. You would knit this square here, and then you knit this square here, and then this one, and then this one. And then you sort of go up here and knit this one. And by this point, only by this point here, will you actually add the second triangle of this hot pink to this bit here. So I would have to knit all the way to there to find out whether I've actually got enough to finish this panel. So at the moment, this is being rested. And I think what might actually be better is if I made more of these panels and sewed them together and made the Stella Quilt blanket out of it instead. But I'm not sure I fancy doing that either right now. So for the time being, this is a half finished object and it's just going to sit. But if you have any suggestions, or if you know that there are bigger cushions that I could insert there, then let me know. Right. Let's talk about works in progress. The first whip that I have to show you is a design of my own that I cast on a couple of days ago and I've been totally obsessed with. Since finishing the Paul cardigan, I noticed that I would actually quite like to have a more tailored, more fitted cardigan in my wardrobe that's just easy to throw on. And I wanted something round neck, and like I say, I wanted something with very low positive ease, maybe sort of 1 to 2 inches. And I had this yarn in stash. This is King Cole Cotton Top. It is a cotton acrylic blend. This is the shade Artichoke, and it is a really, really nice yarn. And I have started. And it's curling and it's puckering because it's not been blocked. And that's why I'm stalling a little bit. As you can see here, all these puckers I think will block out like that, but I have no guarantee. So I'm at this point at the underarm split where everything fits, but it looks a bit frumpy. And I might have to cut the yarn and just throw it in the washing machine and see if it will block out. So this is a top-down saddle shoulder design, as you can see here. Not very good at showing this, am I? There we are. That's the neck. There is the sleeve. I have a barking neighbour's dog and Pearl's just woken up. Come down. Come on. Come here. Good girl. I know. Good girl. You don't need to bark back. Good girl. We're working on training her to be a bit less reactive, but when she hears barking, she wants to bark back. Good girl. The other one's fast asleep on my bed. Okay, so I scoured the internet to find a fitted cardigan pattern that I would like to knit, and I just couldn't find one. So I decided to cast on one myself. And this is actually a contiguous shoulder design rather than a standard saddle shoulder, because you cast on for the neckband and you have some short rows that you need to work. I'm just going to try and see if I can show that a little bit better. It's curling like crazy. There we go. I've already attached some buttons because I got a bit excited. This is worked by doing rapid increases on either side of this saddle panel. So you do increases on both sides, on the wrong and the right side, before eventually then stopping those increases for the body and starting to increase for the sleeve. And there's a little bit of raglan shaping at the end, but not much for this size. And what I thought was interesting, I've seen loads of designs with these saddle shoulder contiguous kind of constructions, but all of them have a really tiny shoulder panel, like a really narrow, quite short one. And I wanted a chunky shoulder panel, like you see in a sort of more standard saddle shoulder design, like my Pearly cardigan, where you have a big panel and then you pick up stitches from. But I didn't want to pick up stitches from it, even though it's a bit of an unpopular opinion, but I really, really enjoy picking up stitches. But I know a lot of people don't. So I haven't found a pattern that does this wide shoulder panel and also does it contiguously. And maybe there's a reason for it. Maybe it's because it puckers and this is never going to block out. I don't really know. So I think what I'm going to do after filming this is I'm going to take the needles out, put this on hold and put it on a quick wash in the washing machine and see if that blocks it out, because how strange, I've just had a notification saying maximum recording time reached. I'm only allowed to film for 10 minutes. So I don't know what's going on there, but it's telling me I have 10 minutes left. So we will see how this goes. Anyway, as I was saying, I'm going to put this on hold and I'm going to block it, because I don't really want to knit a whole body and potentially also the sleeves and then block and find out that it was not worth my time. So that's kind of where I'm going with this whip. Let's have some coffee. My next work in progress was a spontaneous cast on. It is the Bliss sweater by Irene Lin. That she very recently released and I had to have it immediately. But I did wait a few days until my pool cardigan was finished, so I was quite pleased with myself. And I've got it to show you here. I will also put a picture in of what it looks like finished, because it's at an awkward stage at the moment. I am knitting this in King Cole Orchard again, in 3 colours. This is Snow Sweet, this is Topaz, and this is Zestar. Again, all named after apples. Not heard of these 2 apples before. And this is a little bit unusual for me. I'm not a fan of navy or purple, but I'm kind of going rogue in my colour choices at the moment. So you'll see that in my 3rd and final whip. And we have a yoke. And if I hold that there and stop it from curling so much, you might be able to see the beautiful colour work. I will have inserted a picture so you can see what it will look like finished. But you can see there, I think I have to hold it sideways. There we are. We have the start of some beautiful colour work. So this is a top down drop shoulder design. It is supposed to be knit in worsted weight yarn, but I'm knitting it in DK. And a lot of Irene Lin's patterns, from what I've seen, have a lot of positive ease, and she recommends quite a wide range of ease. So you can sort of pick what would work for you. So for me, for example, size 1 and 2 would both work. But in terms of how much ease I'm comfortable with, I should really knit to size 1. Now, I've gone for a thinner yarn, so I am actually knitting size 2 in order to get roughly the ease that size 1 has. And this was quite interesting because you cast on for the back as a rectangle. There's no shaping at the shoulders, and then there's some short rows at the bottom of the back yoke, which I've never done before, and I don't know how that's going to pan out in terms of fit, so I'll let you know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But I thought it was quite interesting because I've not seen it before. You do then pick up stitches for the front, and you do short row shaping here. You might be able to see them there, before increasing for the neck in a very standard way. There will be sort of a funnel neck collar that I think you can fold in and make it sort of more of a crew neck as well. So we will see what I end up going with. And the colour work's really beautiful. And I think what really drew me to this pattern is that if you know me, you know that I enjoy shaping very much. And the yoke is always fun for me to knit. And as soon as you get to the body, I've lost interest. But the body on this sweater has a massive band of colour work, and so do the sleeves. So that was something that I thought was really exciting. And what I thought was quite interesting when I knit this pattern, I didn't read the whole pattern through because I never do, and I know I should. I also didn't properly consult the Ravelry page as to what techniques were used. So I was a little bit surprised to see that this fairly graphic, fairly simple colour work pattern has quite a few rows of 3-stranded colour work. So I will try to show you, but in this motif here, if you pick a row, say here, you can see that there's white, purple and navy within the same row. And I knit colour work two-handed. And this isn't my first time doing 3-stranded colour work, so it wasn't too much of a shock, but it is a bit tedious. It's not my favourite. And I was wondering, so I'd love to hear from you what you think. Would you like me to film a tutorial on how I knit 3-stranded colour work? When I get to the opposite end of this colour work, there will be, because it's sort of mirror image, there will be more 3-stranded colour work. If that is something that would be interesting for you to see, I would definitely be up for filming that, so let me know. I'm just chugging along on this. This will be taking me a little while, but yeah, really, really beautiful. Really enjoying this pattern. Really enjoy her writing style. It's very minimal. There's not that much there. It's quite basic, and I quite like that. You will be able to tell, at the moment, I like to have 3 very different projects on the go at the same time, with different stitch patterns. 1 stockinette, 1 cabled and 1 colour work is what I'm going for at the moment. And I'm fully aware that this will blow out like crazy and you'll think, what the heck is going on? But I'm knitting a red sweater. And it's not that orange, okay, I promise. This is this is really doing things. I don't think this needs much introduction. This is the Dagmar zipper sweater, specifically, from Petiteknit. And I had the urge to knit a red sweater, which has never happened before, but I'm really, really enjoying this pattern. It is a little bit hard on my hands, so I haven't actually made loads of progress. I've literally finished, this is the back panel, prior to picking up stitches for the front, so I thought it would be a good stage to show you. I am using Stylecraft Special Aran with wool. Try to see, is there any way? Oh my goodness, it looks so orange in the picture. No. It is called Scarlet. It is a true red, in my opinion. It doesn't really lean warm or cool. It's just quite a neutral red, which I think is probably the best red for me. And yeah, I've been eyeing up this pattern since it got released and decided I'll finally knit it. The way this is constructed is you cast on stitches here and you increase out to form the shoulder panels, and you do the chart at the same time. And the way she instructs you to do the different sizes is they all start off the same, and you just carry on increasing further here in the moss stitch panel. Oh my god, it's just orange. I'm gonna have to sit back. I'm not going to show you that much too close because it's just so not true to colour. And at this point, if you've ever knit a drop shoulder, sort of standard drop shoulder design where you do increases on right and wrong side for the shoulder, you will know that this hasn't got very much stretch, especially when you're at this point before you've got a bit more fabric to it. So when I got to here, I thought, oh, this looks awfully small. And as per my usual standards, I didn't swatch. I rarely swatch for oversized things because I'm quite flexible with these and how I like things, and I tend to try things on and modify them as I go. So what I did is I should have knit size 3, but I increased a bit further out for size 4, and now I think it's probably going to be a bit big. If you look here, that is quite massive, isn't it? But that's fine. It is going to be an oversized cozy sweater, and yeah, I'm really excited to have this. I'm also really excited to knit it, and I think this is going to be a slow project for me, which is quite unusual for my standards, but I am enjoying it and I will carry on with it. The main thing that is giving me pause with this project, I'm going to see if I can show you this. See there? Up here. This yarn attracts dog hair like you wouldn't believe. Now I know spring is coming and Pearl is going through a shedding stage. I will put a picture of her in here. And there's dog hair absolutely everywhere, in everything, in every aspect of my life. I now have red fluff on me as well. But this particular yarn, 80/20 acrylic wool, is sucking in the dog hair at a much higher rate than any of my other projects, to the point where I'm knitting and I'm knitting it in. It's not just attaching, it's actually attached to the strand that's feeding into my knitting. And I get a little bit frustrated with it because I'm picking hair off constantly, and then I put it aside. Sorry, I got cut off again. This is really weird. I'm going to have to check why this is happening. As I was saying, this is a bit frustrating to knit because I'm constantly knitting the dog hair actually into the fabric rather than it just laying and attaching onto the fabric. So we will see how I'm going to get all the hair off here, and I hope that Pearly's going to stop shedding so much soon. But there's dog hair everywhere in my life, and that's just part of it, isn't it? But yeah, Dagmar Zipper Sweater by Petiteknit. Right, apologies if the setup has changed again. I have realised that I'm running out of storage space, so I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to sort that out for future filming. But I've deleted a couple of old stuff just so I can finish the rest of this video. I think I finished talking about this whip, so the last thing that remains for me to chat to you about is that I touched on at the start of this video that I would like to start only filming a podcast when I have a finished object to share with you. That means that there will be a few weeks when I'm not filming anything, and I would really like to film other content for you as well and put it on this channel. So I would love to hear from you. If you could leave me a comment down below and let me know what kind of content you would like to see from me. Would you like to see some pattern roundups? Would you like to see some planning videos? Would you like me to attempt some vlogging? I would love to hear what you've got to say and what you'd like to see. I really would like to make some pattern roundup videos. My main issue with that is that I'm not sure if most of the interesting pattern roundups have already been done, other than showing you newish or newer videos, newer patterns, sorry. So I don't really want to create more of the same of what's already been done and what's already out there. I want to make something new. So if there's something you would like to see me talk about, please let me know. I would really, really love to hear from you. You can also reach out to me on Instagram. I love chatting to you. I love chatting to you in the comments. So I'm going to round this off here because I don't think my camera is allowing me to film anymore. And I will see you in a few weeks' time. Thank you so much for joining me today. Happy knitting, happy making, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.